The emergency council session continued late into the night cycle. Deho remained standing at the center of the chamber, answering questions and deflecting accusations with equal calm. Bora handled the technical briefings, displaying data and evidence to support every claim. Hyunwoo sat quietly, occasionally offering insight when debates became too heated. Representative Tallis stood once more. I have a question for the human delegation. You claim to want justice and fair laws, but you built this military in secret. You deceived us about your capabilities.
How is that just?
A fair question, Deho acknowledged. We never lied. We filed proper documentation for every ship and facility, but we did not advertise our full strength because doing so would have made us a target before we were ready. You cannot demand justice from those who have no respect for law. You must be strong enough to enforce it first. That sounds like the same philosophy you criticize, a Vrax counselor observed. No, Bora interjected. The difference is intent and restraint. The Krell build power to dominate. We built power to protect and to force accountability. We could have attacked you at any time. We chose not to. That restraint is what separates us. High Arbiter Thulmin clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. The human proposal has merit. However, such fundamental changes require careful review, months, perhaps years of negotiation. You do not have years, Deho said bluntly. The old system is broken. Every small species in this chamber knows it. They have been victimized by it. You either fix it now or it will collapse violently. We are offering you a peaceful transition. Peaceful? Vorath spat. You call this peaceful? You humiliated the Krell Empire in front of the entire galaxy. We disabled your ships without casualties, Hyunwoo pointed out. We could have destroyed them. That choice is what makes this peaceful. You attacked our territory. We defended it. Under any reasonable interpretation of law, we were completely justified. Yet we showed maximum restraint. Vorath's scales flushed darker with rage. The Krell will not forget this insult. Good, Deho said. Remember it. Remember that humans can hit back. Remember that we will not tolerate further aggression. And remember that we kept our word. We said we would remove your ships if you did not withdraw. We did exactly that, no more and no less, a Then representative spoke up. What about the allegations regarding stolen technology? The display showed Krell ships with human energy signatures. Bora pulled up detailed schematics. 16 months ago, we developed an improved fusion core design. We shared the basic principles with the Council, as required by technology sharing agreements. Within 3 months, Krell warships were using nearly identical cores. They claimed it was independent development. She switched to another image. Here is a Vrax medical facility. They are using human-developed cellular regeneration techniques we spent 8 years and billions of credits developing. The Vrax patented a modified version and now sell it back to other species, including us. More examples appeared. Each one showed human innovations being copied, slightly altered, and claimed by other species. The pattern was undeniable. This is standard practice, the Vrax counselor protested. Technology builds on previous technology. It is how progress works. Progress requires credit and compensation, Hyunwoo said firmly. When you take someone's work, change it slightly and sell it as your own, that is theft. The new charter includes protections for intellectual property, real protections with real enforcement. Impossible to police, another counselor argued. Not for us, Bora said. We have been tracking technology transfers across the galaxy for years. We know exactly who took what from whom. We can prove every violation, she smiled coldly, and we are willing to share that information publicly if necessary. The chamber fell silent. Several species looked uncomfortable. They all had secrets. They all had violations they did not want exposed. Deho let the silence stretch before speaking again. We are not here to punish the past. We are here to fix the future. Accept the new charter. Agree to real oversight and real consequences. Start treating each other as equals rather than prey and predators. Do this and we put away our evidence. We move forward together. And if we refuse, Vorath demanded, then we publish everything, Deho said simply. Every theft, every violation, every illegal action by every council member. We let the galaxy see exactly how this council really operates, and then we leave. We will defend our own space, trade with species who want fair dealing, and let you continue your games without us. High Arbiter Thulmin looked genuinely distressed. You would dissolve the council? We would let it dissolve itself, Hyunwoo clarified. The council survives because smaller species have no alternative. If we offer an alternative built on actual law and mutual respect, how many do you think will follow us? How many have been waiting for someone to stand up to the old powers? Talus stood again, and this time she was not alone. Representatives from 14 smaller species stood with her. Nearly a third of the council. We stand with humanity, Talus declared. If the council will not reform, we will leave and join a new alliance, one that actually protects its members. Vorath snarled at them. Traitors. All of you? No, Talus said quietly. Survivors. We are tired of being victims. If humanity is strong enough to force change, we will support them. More species stood. The Outer Rim delegations, the frontier colonies, the mining cooperatives. Species that had been marginalized and exploited by the major powers. They saw an opportunity and they took it. Within minutes, nearly half the council stood in support of the human proposal. High Arbiter Thulmin looked around the chamber, his mandibles clicking nervously. This is unprecedented. The council has never faced such division. The council has never faced accountability before. Bora said. This is what it looks like. Daeho raised his voice to address everyone. We propose a vote. Simple majority. Either ratify the new charter and implement real reforms, or we walk away and form a new alliance. Those who want law and justice will come with us. Those who want to continue the old ways can keep the old council. But it will be much smaller and much weaker. You cannot simply split the council. Vorath protested. Watch us, Daeho said. High Arbiter Thulmin looked torn. He valued procedure and tradition above all else. But he also saw the reality of the situation. The council was breaking apart whether he approved or not. The only question was whether it would reform or fragment. Very well, Thulmin said finally. We will vote, but not tonight. This requires time for each delegation to consult with their governments. We will reconvene in 1 week. 3 days, Daeho countered. This is not complicated. You either want justice or you do not. 3 days is more than enough time to decide. Thulmin clicked his mandibles rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. Very well. 3 days. We reconvene for a formal vote. As the session adjourned, species clustered into groups. The smaller species gathered around the human delegation, asking questions and seeking reassurance. The major powers stood apart, glaring at the humans with varying degrees of hostility. Governor Hana's face appeared on Daeho's communicator. Captain, the Krell ships have fully withdrawn. New Jeju is secure. Our people are celebrating in the streets. They are calling you the hero who stood up to the bullies. Daeho smiled tiredly. I am no hero, Governor. I just got tired of being pushed around. Well, the colonies are with you. Whatever you need, we will support it. Get ready for more visitors, Daeho advised. When word spreads about what happened here, every small colony in council space is going to want to join our side. We need to be ready to protect them all. Already working on it, Hana confirmed. Commander Jin Young has been coordinating with our defense fleet. We are setting up a mutual protection network. Anyone who joins the new alliance gets full defensive coverage. After she signed off, Bora approached Daeho. Do you really think they will vote for reform? Some will, Daeho said. Enough to make it legitimate. The others will refuse and try to maintain the old system. But it will not work. Once the small species see they have an alternative, they will leave. The old council will become irrelevant. And then we build something better. It will not be perfect. There will be problems and conflicts, but it will be based on law instead of power, justice instead of intimidation. It will be better than what exists now. Hyunwoo joined them, looking satisfied. I never thought I would live to see this day. 15 years of smiling and bowing and accepting insults. It was worth it to see their faces when we finally stopped pretending. The fight is not over, Daeho warned. Vorath will not accept this quietly. The Krell will look for revenge. Let them look, Bora said. We are ready, Daeho nodded. Yes, we are. For the first time since joining this council, we do not have to hide what we are. We do not have to pretend to be weak. We can just be ourselves, and what are we? Bora asked. Daeho smiled. We are humans. We are survivors. We are builders and fighters and stubborn enough to demand better. And we just taught the galaxy to stop underestimating us. The holographic display in the council chamber switched to a live feed from New Jeju. Every council member watched in silence as events unfolded in real time. Sub-Premier, Krellvex's flagship powered up its weapons. The massive Krell battleship, twice the size of any other vessel in the blockade, oriented itself toward the planet. Energy readings spiked as the ship prepared to fire warning shots across the colony's defensive perimeter. Then the Indomitable moved. It happened so fast that several council members did not understand what they were seeing at first. One moment, the human ship was in a standard orbital position. The next, it had accelerated to combat speed and positioned itself directly between the Krell flagship and New Jeju. All Krell vessels. Commander Jin Young's voice echoed through every ship in the sector. Stand down immediately. This is your only warning. Krellvex laughed over the open channel. 1 ship against 17? You are either brave or stupid, human. I am neither, Jin Young replied calmly. I am ready. Krellvex's flagship fired. The plasma bolts that should have disabled the Indomitable in seconds never reached it. Point defense systems that no one knew existed activated instantly. Precise laser grids intercepted every shot, turning the plasma into harmless dispersed energy. Before the Krell could fire again, the Indomitable returned fire. Railgun rounds, accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed, struck 3 Krell warships simultaneously. The ships did not explode. Instead, their engines shut down. Their weapons went dark. Their life support remained active, but everything else stopped functioning. The entire engagement lasted 8 seconds. What just happened? Sub-Premier Krellvex demanded, his voice shrill with confusion. Electromagnetic pulse rounds, Bora explained to the stunned council. They disable ships without destroying them. Very precise. Very effective. We do not want to kill anyone. We just want you to leave. More human ships appeared on the display. They had been hiding in the asteroid field near New Jeju, powered down and invisible to standard sensors. Now they activated, surrounding the remaining Krell vessels. The blockade had become a trap. 14 more Titan-class warships, Deho said conversationally, plus support vessels, fighters, and defense drones. We could destroy your entire fleet in under 4 minutes, Sub-Premier. But we will not. We will simply escort you out of our territory. In the council chamber, Vorath stood frozen. The color had drained from his scales. Around him, other council members whispered urgently to their aides and military advisors. This is impossible, Vorath finally said. Our intelligence showed nothing. No military buildup, no weapons development, just agricultural colonies and research stations. Your intelligence was correct, Hyunwoo said mildly. The agricultural colonies are real. The research stations exist. We never lied to you. He smiled. We simply did not mention what else we were building. Bora activated another display. This one showed a timeline stretching back 15 years. When humanity joined the council, we were not naive. We studied every species here. We analyzed every conflict in council history. And we noticed a pattern. The display showed incident after incident, the Krell expanding into disputed territory, the Then claiming others' technology as their own, the Vrex manipulating trade agreements, smaller species being absorbed or dominated by larger ones. In every case, the council did nothing. We realized that the council operates on one principle, Deho said. Strength, not law, not justice. Just strength. The strong take what they want. The weak lose what they have. And everyone pretends there are rules. He turned to face Vorath directly. So we decided to become strong. Every agricultural shipment we sent out, half of it was weapons components. Every research station, a disguised military base. Every trade convoy, carrying advanced defense systems. While you laughed at us for being farmers and diplomats, Bora continued, we were building the most advanced military force this galaxy has seen in a century. We studied your tactics. We analyzed your weapons. We found every weakness in every major power's defense grid. She pulled up schematics showing Krell ship designs with highlighted vulnerabilities, then stations with marked security flaws, then Vrax fleet formations with tactical weaknesses clearly identified. We know how to defeat every single one of you, Bora said flatly. We have known for years. We simply chose not to. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Multiple species began shouting at once. Some demanded explanations. Others accused humanity of deception. A few looked terrified. High Arbiter Thulman tried to restore order, his voice barely audible over the noise. This is unprecedented. The council must address these revelations immediately. Address what? Daeho asked, his voice cutting through the noise. We broke no laws. We filed all required documentation. We never claimed to be defenseless. We simply allowed you to assume we were weak because we were polite. You deceived the council, Vorath roared. No, Hyunwoo corrected gently. You deceived yourselves. You saw what you wanted to see. Young species, inexperienced, friendly, easy to manipulate or intimidate. You never looked deeper because you did not think you needed to. Daeho stepped forward, addressing the entire council now. For 15 years we played by your rules. We were patient. We were diplomatic. We smiled while you insulted us. We stayed silent while you stole from us. We followed every protocol while you ignored laws whenever convenient. We did this because we hoped the council might actually be what it claims to be. A union of species working together. A government based on law and mutual respect. His expression hardened. But it is not. It is simply the strong exploiting the weak with a civilized veneer. Bora pulled up another display, showing a detailed proposal. This is the new council charter. A complete restructuring of how this organization operates. It includes independent oversight, mandatory arbitration for disputes, actual consequences for violations, and military force restrictions that apply equally to everyone. You cannot simply rewrite the council charter. A then representative objected. Why not? Daeho asked. You rewrite it all the time, informally, by ignoring it when convenient. We are just proposing to make the changes official and apply them fairly. Vorath laughed, though it sounded forced. And if we refuse, what then? You will fight the entire council? If necessary, Daeho said simply. But we would prefer not to. We did not build this military to conquer. We built it to protect ourselves and to force change. The galaxy needs law that means something. Justice that applies to everyone. If the council cannot provide that, then the council needs to change or end. This is madness, Vorath growled. You are one species against dozens. Even with your hidden fleet, you cannot stand against all of us. Perhaps not, Hyunwoo agreed. But we would take many of you with us. Is that what you want? A war that damages everyone? Or would you prefer peace with actual rules that protect everyone equally? For a long moment, no one spoke. Then a small species from the outer rim stood up. Representative Talus, whose people had lost 3 colonies to Krell expansion in the past decade. I support the human proposal, Talus said quietly. My people have suffered because the strong ignore laws. If humanity can force change, we will stand with them. Another species stood, then another. Within minutes, 12 smaller species had voiced support for the human charter. They had been waiting, Bora realized. Waiting for someone strong enough to challenge the old powers. Someone willing to fight for actual justice. Vorath looked around the chamber, seeing support crumbling. His expression twisted with rage. You will regret this, humans. All of you will regret this. Maybe, Daeho said. But we are done regretting staying silent while you did whatever you wanted. The sub-premier's voice came through the communication channel. Premier Vorath, the humans are towing our disabled ships out of the sector. They have not harmed any crew. They are just removing us. Orders? Vorath stood silent for a long moment. Then he snarled, Withdraw. All ships. Fall back to Krell space. Wise decision, Hyunwoo said. Vorath glared at him. This is not over. No, Daeho agreed. It is not. We have many more changes to propose, many more laws to enforce, and we will not be polite about it anymore. He looked around at the council members. Some looked angry. Some looked scared. A few looked hopeful. We gave you 15 years of diplomacy, Daeho said. 15 years of patience. Now you get something different. Now you get humans with the gloves off. Some of you will hate it. Some will thank us, but all of you will respect it. Because, Bora added, we are done asking permission to be treated as equals. 6 days passed in tense silence. Daeho spent the time in meetings with Earth Command, reviewing files and preparing documents. Bora noticed he seemed calmer than ever, which somehow made her more nervous. Hyunwoo hummed old songs while he worked, looking almost cheerful. On the 7th day, alarms blared throughout the council station. Daeho was in his quarters when the emergency notification came through. He read it once, closed his eyes briefly, then opened a secure channel. This is Captain Daeho. Confirm the situation at New Jeju. Commander Jin Young's face appeared on the screen. She was young for a ship commander, only in her early 30s, but her eyes were hard with experience. Confirmed, sir. 17 Krell warships dropped out of hyperspace 2 hours ago. They have established a blockade around the planet. No ships in or out. Casualties? None yet. They are just sitting there, scanning our defenses, running sensor sweeps. Governor Hana is asking for instructions. Deho nodded slowly. Tell the governor to continue normal operations. Do not evacuate. Do not show panic. And Jin Young? Keep the Indomitable exactly where it is. Understood, sir. Jin Young paused. Sir, when do we stop pretending that the Indomitable is just a defense platform? Soon, Deho promised. Very soon. He closed the channel and headed for the council chamber. An emergency session had been called, broadcast live across all member worlds. Perfect. The chamber was already full when Deho arrived. Foreth stood at the center, looking proud and dangerous. When he saw the human delegation enter, his lips pulled back in what might have been a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth. High Arbiter Thulmin called the session to order, his voice shaking slightly. We convene this emergency meeting to address the situation at the human colony designated New Jeju. Premier Vorath has requested time to explain the Krell Empire's actions. Vorath stepped forward. Thank you, Arbiter. As you all know, I expressed concern last week about the security of human colonies in contested space. Unfortunately, my fears were proven correct. Our intelligence detected significant pirate activity planning an assault on New Jeju. He gestured and a holographic display appeared, showing what looked like unmarked ships near the sector. Rather than wait for tragedy to strike, the Krell Empire acted decisively. We have established a protective perimeter around the colony. This is a peacekeeping measure, nothing more. Deho watched the display calmly. The supposed pirate ships were clearly Krell vessels with their identification beacons turned off. Anyone with basic military training could see it. Vorath was not even trying to make his lie convincing. Of course, Vorath continued, this protection cannot be temporary. The threat is ongoing. Therefore, the Krell Empire is prepared to establish a permanent security presence on New Jeju, for the safety of all concerned. You mean to occupy it? Deho said quietly. Vorath turned to him. I mean to protect it, Captain. Your species lacks the military strength to defend these colonies properly. Accept our help, or accept the consequences when real threats arrive. Several council members muttered to each other. No one spoke up in support of humanity, but no one openly supported the Krell either. They were waiting to see which side would win before choosing. Hyunwoo stood slowly. Premier Vorath, we appreciate your concern. However, we must formally request the immediate withdrawal of Krell forces from New Jeju space. Council Charter Article 7 clearly states that military action near member worlds requires prior authorization, unless immediate defense is necessary. No attack has occurred. Article 7 is a guideline, not a law, Vorath growled. It applies to civilized species who understand galactic realities. Your people are newcomers. You do not understand how things really work out here. Then educate us, Deho said, his voice still pleasant. Help us understand why the Council Charter does not apply to humans. Vorath's eyes flashed with anger. Fine, you want understanding? Here is understanding. The strong survive. The weak submit or perish. Your species has grown comfortable hiding behind treaties and protocols. But protocols do not stop warships. Politeness does not win wars. He leaned forward, his massive frame towering over the human delegation. I gave you a chance to accept protection peacefully. You wasted time with procedures and reviews. Now we do this my way. The Krell occupy New Jeju, you accept it. Or we take it by force and you lose far more than one colony. The chamber fell completely silent. Even the ambient translator hum seemed to fade away. Every eye turned to the humans. Deho looked at Hyunwoo. The older ambassador nodded slightly. High Arbiter Thulman, Deho said formally. I request permission to open a secured channel to Earth Command. Thulman clicked his mandibles nervously. This is highly irregular during a council session. The situation is irregular, Deho replied. Please, just a moment of your time. The Arbiter hesitated, then nodded. Deho touched his wrist device and spoke clearly. This is Captain Deho. Authorization code Omega Black. Remove all diplomatic restrictions. Full disclosure protocol. Hyunwoo input his own code. Ambassador Hyunwoo confirming. Polite mode is hereby disengaged. Repeat, polite mode disengaged. Bora felt her breath catch. She had heard rumors about Omega Black protocols but never thought they would actually be used. Vorath laughed, a deep rumbling sound. Codes and protocols. This is your response? More diplomatic theater? No, Deho said, and his voice had changed. The pleasant tone was gone. He sounded cold now, hard. This is us stopping the theater. He turned to face the entire council. For 15 years we have been members of this council. For 15 years we have followed every rule, accepted every insult, tolerated every violation of our rights and our sovereignty. We smiled through it all. Bora stepped forward and activated the main holographic display. We smiled because we were busy, learning, planning, preparing. The display lit up with tactical data, ship movements, fleet positions, weapon specifications. The council members leaned forward, eyes widening as they processed what they were seeing. You thought we were farmers, Deho continued. You thought we were weak because we avoided conflict. You thought our politeness meant we were afraid to fight. His smile was cold and sharp. You were wrong. Vorath stared at the display, his confidence faltering slightly. This is fabricated data. Intimidation tactics. Commander Jin Young, Deho said into his communicator. Status of the Indomitable? Jin Young's voice came through clear and strong. All systems active and ready, Captain. Weapons are hot. Defense platforms are online. Should I continue pretending this is just a standard patrol vessel? No, Commander. Show them what the Indomitable really is. On the holographic display, the image of the ship near New Jeju changed. What had appeared to be a medium-sized defense platform suddenly revealed its true form. Armor plating retracted to show weapon ports. Hidden sensor arrays extended. The energy signature spiked to levels that made several council members gasp in shock. The Indomitable is a Titan-class warship, Bora explained calmly. One of 12 currently deployed around human colonies. Each one carries enough firepower to level a small moon. Each one has been sitting in orbit for years while you assumed they were simple defense stations. Vorath's scales had paled slightly. This is a violation of council laws regarding military buildups, is it? Hyunwoo asked mildly. Show me the law. We filed all proper documentation for defense platforms. We never lied about their presence. We simply did not advertise their full capabilities. There is no law requiring us to do so. Deho looked directly at Vorath. You have 48 hours to remove your ships from New Jeju space. If you do not, we will remove them for you. You dare threaten the Krell Empire? We do not threaten, Deho said quietly. We promise. Your ships leave or they get disabled and towed out. Your choice, Vorath snarled. I will not be intimidated by prey species playing at being predators. He activated his own communicator. Sub-Premier Kralvex, you are authorized to begin landing operations on New Jeju. Crush any resistance. Understood, Premier, came the response. Deho did not smile. He simply said, Commander Jin Young, weapons free, engage, and the entire galaxy watched what happened next. Captain Deho straightened his uniform as he walked into the massive council chamber. The dome stretched high above him, made entirely of crystal that sparkled with light from a dozen different suns. He had been here many times before, but the sight still impressed him. Representatives from 47 different alien species sat in their designated sections, speaking in languages that ranged from musical chirps to deep grinding sounds that vibrated through the floor. Deho took his seat next to Ambassador Hyunwoo, the senior human representative. The older man nodded at him with a slight smile. On Deho's other side sat Lieutenant Bora, the youngest member of their delegation. She watched everything with sharp, calculating eyes, though her face remained neutral and professional. The meeting began with routine matters. Trade agreements between the Then colonies and the Vrax mining operations, a dispute over shipping lanes near the Outer Rim. Standard diplomatic business that usually bored Deho to tears. He maintained his pleasant expression, occasionally nodding as if fascinated by the discussion of mineral rights. Then Premier Vorath stood up. The Krell leader was massive, even for his species. His scales were deep green, almost black, and his eyes were cold yellow slits. When he spoke, his voice rumbled through the chamber like distant thunder. Deho had learned to recognize that tone. It meant trouble. Honored council members, Vorath began, his words dripping with false courtesy. I wish to address a matter of growing concern. The human colonies in the contested territories of Sector 7. Deho felt Bora tense beside him, though she did not move. Hyunwoo's pleasant expression never changed. These colonies, Vorath continued, are vulnerable, isolated, far from any significant protection. Pirates and raiders operate freely in that region. It would be a tragedy if harm came to our newest council members simply because they lack the experience to protect themselves properly. Several council members shifted in their seats. Some looked uncomfortable. Others watched with barely concealed interest, like spectators waiting for a fight to begin. Therefore, Vorath said, spreading his massive clawed hands in a gesture that might have looked generous on someone else, "The Krell Empire proposes to extend our protection to these vulnerable human worlds. We would station security forces there, ensure safe passage for all vessels, and provide the guidance that such young colonies clearly need." The chamber fell silent. Everyone understood what this really meant. The Krell wanted the human agricultural worlds. They wanted the rich farmland of New Jeju and the manufacturing facilities on Nova Sol. This was not protection. This was annexation with a diplomatic ribbon tied around it. Daeho stood slowly. He kept his smile in place, the same friendly expression he wore to every council meeting. "Premier Vorath, your concern for human safety is touching. Truly. We are grateful that the mighty Krell Empire takes such interest in our welfare. However," he continued, his voice remaining light and pleasant, "these matters require careful consideration. We would need to consult with our colonial governors, review the specific terms of such protection, and ensure that any agreement serves the best interests of all parties involved." Vorath's eyes narrowed. "Time is a luxury, Captain. Threats do not wait for bureaucratic delays." "Of course not," Daeho agreed smoothly, "which is why we will expedite our review process. Perhaps a week to gather the necessary information and present a formal response." "A week?" Vorath's voice rose slightly. "Every day of delay puts your people at risk." Hyunwoo stood now, his movements slow and deliberate. "Premier Vorath, we understand your urgency. However, the Council Charter clearly states that matters of territorial jurisdiction require proper documentation and review. We would not want to violate Council protocols, would we?" The High Arbiter, Thulmin, clicked his mandibles nervously. The insectoid leader of the Council valued protocol above all else. "Ambassador Hyunwoo is correct. Proper procedures must be followed." Vorath glared at the humans but sat down heavily. "1 week, then. But know this, humans. The galaxy is not kind to those who move too slowly. Your politeness and your procedures will not protect you when real danger comes." The rest of the meeting passed without incident, though Daeho could feel hostile eyes on the human delegation from multiple directions. When the session finally ended, the 3 humans walked silently back to their private quarters. As soon as the door closed behind them, Bo-Ra exploded. "That was a direct threat. He essentially told us he would take our colonies by force if we don't surrender them peacefully. Why are we tolerating this?" Daeho poured himself a glass of water, his movements calm. "Because we are playing a longer game than they realize." "What game?" Bo-Ra demanded. "They think we are weak. They think we will just roll over and accept whatever they want." "Yes," Hyunwoo said quietly. "They do think that, and we have worked very hard to ensure they continue thinking it." Bo-Ra looked between the 2 older men, confusion clear on her face. "I do not understand." Daeho sat down, gesturing for her to do the same. "Lieutenant, how long have humans been on the Council?" 15 years. "And in those 15 years, how many times have we been insulted, dismissed, or treated as inferior?" "Too many to count," Bo-Ra said bitterly. "Exactly. And each time we smiled. We were polite. We followed every rule, no matter how ridiculous. We became known as the friendly newcomers who did not understand real galactic politics." Daeho leaned forward. "But we understood perfectly. We watched. We learned. We documented every slight, every broken promise, every violation of Council law that the powerful species got away with." Hyunwoo nodded. "The Krell have been expanding aggressively for decades. They take what they want and dare anyone to stop them. The Then steal technology and claim it as their own. The Vrax manipulate trade agreements to bankrupt smaller species. All of this happens while the Council watches and does nothing. So we do nothing too?" Bo-Ra asked. "We do nothing until the time is right," Daeho corrected. "Vorath just made a mistake. He threatened us publicly in front of the entire Council. He showed everyone that the law means nothing when power is involved. Now we respond. But not with more diplomacy. Then with what?" Daeho's smile changed. It was still a smile, But there was nothing friendly about it anymore. With the truth. With what we have really been doing for the past 15 years while they thought we were just farming and building pretty space stations. Bora stared at him. What have we been doing? Preparing, Hyunwoo said simply. For this exact moment. When they finally pushed too far and gave us the perfect excuse to stop being polite. Daeho stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. In 1 week, the entire galaxy is going to learn something important about humans. We are very good at being diplomatic. We are excellent at following rules and playing nice with others. He turned back to face them. But we are even better at war. And we have been preparing for it since the day we joined this council. Bora felt a chill run down her spine. She had thought their politeness was weakness. She had been frustrated by their constant restraint. Now she understood. They had not been restraining themselves out of fear. They had been waiting, planning, building. What happens in 1 week? She asked quietly. Daeho's smile widened. We stopped pretending. 2 months had passed since the vote. The council chamber looked different now. New seating arrangements reflected the new power structure. Species that had once been marginalized now sat in prominent positions. The old guard, those who had voted against reform, occupied fewer seats and spoke with less certainty. Daeho stood at the podium reviewing the day's agenda. He had been appointed to chair the new Military Ethics Committee, a position that gave him significant influence over how conflicts were resolved. It was not a role he had wanted, but someone needed to ensure the new rules were actually enforced. Bora sat beside him as a full ambassador now, representing humanity's next generation. She handled most of the day-to-day negotiations while Daeho focused on the larger strategic picture. Hyunwoo had retired to Earth, satisfied that his life's work was complete. He had lived to see humanity accepted as equals. That was enough for him. The meeting will come to order, Daeho announced. First item on the agenda is the Then petition regarding disputed mining rights in Sector 12. The Then representative stood, looking uncomfortable. 2 months ago, the Then had been among the most vocal opponents of reform. They had voted against the new charter and tried to maintain the old system. But as smaller species flocked to the human-led alliance, the Then found themselves increasingly isolated. Now they were requesting membership in the new council, requesting, not demanding. We acknowledge that our previous claims to Sector 12 were based on outdated precedent, the representative said carefully. We are prepared to submit to independent arbitration as specified in the new charter. Bora pulled up the relevant files. The Corville Mining Cooperative filed a competing claim 3 years ago. It was ignored under the old system. Under the new charter, both parties present evidence to an independent panel. The panel rules based on law, not based on which species has more warships. The Then representative nodded stiffly. We understand. We accept these terms. It was a small moment, but significant. The Then were one of the major powers who had initially refused to adapt. Their acceptance meant the new system was working. Slowly, painfully, but working. Commander Jin Young attended the session remotely, her face appearing on the holographic display. She had become something of a legend after the new Jeju incident. Her tactical decisions were now studied in military academies across dozens species. She had shown that humans were not just technologically advanced but strategically brilliant. Commander, Daeho addressed her. Status report on the Joint Defense Network? Fully operational, sir. 23 species have joined the Mutual Protection Treaty. We have established patrol routes and response protocols. 2 potential conflicts were resolved through mediation before shots were fired. Excellent. And the Krell border? Jin Young's expression hardened slightly. Quiet. Too quiet, they have. Withdrawn from all disputed territories, but they are building up forces in their core systems. Intelligence suggests they are not accepting the new order peacefully. Daeho had expected as much. Vorath had disappeared from public view after the vote, but the Krell Empire still existed, still dangerous, still resentful. Maintain surveillance, Daeho ordered, but do not provoke. We want peace if possible. Understood, sir. Representative Tallis stood to speak. I want to formally thank the human delegation. My people have lived in fear of Krell expansion for decades. Now for the first time, we feel safe. The Mutual Defense Treaty actually means something. Other small species added their support. The mood in the chamber was different from the old council sessions. There was actual cooperation instead of thinly veiled threats. Genuine debate instead of intimidation. It was not perfect, but it was better. Not everyone was happy, of course. Several major powers had refused to join the new system. They maintained their own separate council, claiming to represent the traditional galactic order. But fewer species attended each session. Fewer took their pronouncements seriously. Power was shifting and everyone could see it. During a break, Bora approached Deho privately. "Do you think Vorath will actually try something? A direct attack?" "Eventually," Deho said. "He cannot accept being humiliated. The Krell culture values strength above everything else. We made them look weak. They will want revenge. Are we ready?" "As ready as we can be. But I hope it does not come to that. War is expensive and destructive. Even if we win, everyone loses something." Bora nodded. "I never thought I would miss the old diplomatic games. At least then we could predict what would happen." "The old games were predictable because they were rigged," Deho reminded her. "This is better, messier, but better." The afternoon session focused on economic integration. The new alliance had opened trade between species that had never directly interacted before. Small colonies were sharing technology and resources. Innovation was accelerating as species collaborated instead of competed. A Vrax representative stood to speak. "I must admit I voted against the new charter. I believed it would cause chaos and weaken us all. I was wrong." The admission sent a ripple through the chamber. Vrax rarely admitted mistakes. "Our economy has grown faster in 2 months under fair trade rules than in 10 years under the old system." The representative continued. "When everyone benefits from cooperation, everyone works harder to cooperate. It is a simple truth we ignored for too long." More species voiced agreement. Even some who had initially opposed reform were seeing the benefits. As the session ended, Deho received an urgent message from Earth Command. He excused himself and took the call privately. Admiral Kitte's face appeared, looking grave. "Captain, we have a situation. 3 Krell battle groups just entered hyperspace. Projected destination is New Jeju. They are coming in force." Deho felt his stomach tighten. "How long until they arrive?" 18 hours. Maybe less if they are pushing their engines. Mobilize the defense fleet. Get Jin Young back to New Jeju immediately, and send a message to Vorath on all channels. I want to try talking before shooting." "Understood. But Captain, if they are determined to fight." "Then we fight," Deho said quietly. "But we try peace first. Always." He returned to the council chamber and called an emergency session. Within the hour, every member of the new alliance was present, along with representatives from the old council who had come to observe. "The Krell are moving 3 battle groups toward New Jeju," Deho announced without preamble. "This appears to be a retaliatory strike for our previous confrontation. I am attempting to open dialogue with Premier Vorath, but he is not responding to standard channels." The chamber erupted in worried conversation. "We must respond with force," one representative demanded. "We should evacuate New Jeju," another suggested. "Quiet," Deho said firmly. "We will not evacuate. We will not launch a preemptive strike. We will defend ourselves if attacked, but we will not be the ones who start a war." Bora pulled up tactical displays. "Our defense fleet is already moving to intercept. We have overwhelming force advantage. If the Krell attack, we will disable their ships just like before." "And if they do not stop after being disabled?" Talus asked quietly. "Then we escalate as necessary," Deho said, "but only as far as necessary. We are not trying to destroy the Krell Empire. We are trying to make them understand that aggression has consequences." He opened a priority channel to Krell space and broadcast on all frequencies. "Premier Vorath, this is Captain Deho. I know you are listening. Turn your ships around. There is no victory to be won at New Jeju. There is only more humiliation when we disable your forces again. Save your people. Save your pride. Turn around." For a long moment there was only silence. Then Vorath's voice came through, raw with rage. You humiliated the Krell in front of the entire galaxy. You destroyed centuries of reputation with your tricks and your hidden weapons. This cannot stand. So you will sacrifice more ships? More crews? For what? Revenge? Deho kept his voice calm. That is not strength, Premier. That is pride leading you to destruction. Better destruction than submission to prey species. We are not prey, Deho said quietly. We never were. You just convinced yourself we were because it was comfortable. Now you are angry that reality does not match your delusions. But your anger does not change reality. It just makes you dangerous to yourself and your people. There was another pause. When Vorath spoke again, his voice had changed. The rage was still there, but something else too. Uncertainty. What would you have me do? Accept defeat? Return to the Krell worlds and tell them we are no longer feared? Return and tell them the truth, Deho said, that the galaxy is changing. That strength alone is no longer enough. That species who adapt and cooperate will thrive, while species who cling to old ways will fade. You can lead your people into that new future, or you can lead them to extinction fighting against it. Your choice. The channel went silent. In the council chamber, no one moved. Everyone waited. Then finally, Vorath spoke. I am recalling the battle groups. But this is not over, human. The Krell do not forget. Good, Deho said. Do not forget. Remember this day. Remember that you had a choice and you made the right one. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. The channel closed. Around the chamber, species exhaled in relief. Bora looked at Deho with something like awe.